Deep space salvage work meant long shifts scanning empty sectors for anything worth claiming. Wren had been doing this for 15 years, and the thrill had worn off somewhere around year 3. His crew aboard the salvage vessel Distant Echo consisted of just 2 others. Lissa, an engineer who could coax life from dead systems, and Vorn, a pilot who complained about everything but flew like he was born in a cockpit. Today's sector was designated as Barren Wasteland, which made the massive gravitational signature on their sensors all the more confusing. "That cannot be right," Vorn muttered, tapping his console as if physical contact would fix the impossible readings. "Nothing out here for 3 light-years in any direction." Lissa leaned over her station, her antenna twitching with interest. "Gravitational mass equivalent to a small moon, but sensors show empty space. Either our equipment is malfunctioning or something is hiding from us." Wren made the decision quickly. 15 years of finding nothing meant you investigated everything. "Take us in slowly, keep all scanners active." As they approached, the darkness seemed to solidify. A shape emerged from the sensor blackness like a predator materializing from shadows. The vessel was colossal, easily dwarfing any warship in the galactic fleet. Its design spoke of brutal efficiency, all angles and armored plates with weapon emplacements that looked capable of cracking planets. Every surface bore the scars of combat. Impact craters, melted armor, hastily welded patches covering hull breaches. "That design predates everything in our databases," Lissa whispered, already running analysis programs. "I cannot even identify the alloy composition. It is unlike anything modern metallurgy produces." Strange symbols covered sections of the hull, weathered but visible. Wren's translator struggled with the script, offering no matches to any known language. One symbol repeated across multiple sections. A simple circle with a horizontal line through it and 2 smaller dots above. It meant nothing to him, but clearly held significance to whoever built this nightmare. "I am detecting residual power signatures," Lissa announced, disbelief coloring her voice. "After all this time, after all this damage, something inside still functions." Vorn shook his head nervously. "We should report this to the authorities, let them handle ancient death traps." But Wren saw opportunity, not danger. Salvage rights meant whoever claimed it owned it, and a vessel this large could set them up for life. "We dock, we investigate, we claim it. Standard procedure." The airlock barely responded to their boarding attempts. Lissa had to manually override centuries of corrosion to get it open. When they finally stepped inside, emergency lighting flickered to life, bathing corridors in blood-red illumination. Debris littered the floors. Spent ammunition casings, damaged equipment, personal belongings scattered in the chaos of ancient combat. They moved deeper into the ship, following signs that their translators still could not read. Crew quarters revealed belongings that suggested bipedal occupants similar in size to most galactic species. Photographs showed beings with expressive faces, emotional connections, lives lived between battles. One image showed a group of crew members laughing together, arms around each other, faces full of joy despite the warship surrounding them. The bridge was vast, designed for a crew of dozens. Tactical displays flickered with frozen data, showing star maps of territories that no longer existed. Command chairs sat empty, waiting for officers who would never return. Wren approached what he assumed was the captain's station, finding a dedication plaque mounted nearby. Lissa's translator chimed with partial success. "UNSS Indomitable," she read slowly. "Terran Defense Fleet, that word, Terran. My database suggests it refers to a species called humans, but the entry is marked as myth or extinct." "Humans," Vorn repeated the word like a curse. "The old stories, the ones about the species that fought the darkness and lost." Before anyone could respond, Lissa's attempt to access the tactical systems triggered something deep within the ship. Lights blazed to full intensity. Systems hummed to life after millennia of silence. A holographic figure materialized above the command console, humanoid in shape but clearly artificial in nature. "Intruder alert rescinded," the hologram announced in perfectly translated galactic standard. "Scanning, Life forms detected. Classification, non-hostile. Identity unknown. The holographic figure turned to face them, and for something without real eyes, it seemed to stare with uncomfortable intensity. I am Protocol 7, Tactical Coordination Intelligence of the Terran Warship Indomitable. Please state your purpose for boarding this vessel. Ren found his voice first. We are salvage crew. We found your ship drifting. We thought it was derelict. Derelict, Protocol 7 repeated the word as if tasting it. Negative. Indomitable maintains full combat readiness. Crew currently absent on shore leave. The intelligence paused, processing. Error. Crew departed 100,000 years ago. Temporal awareness updated. Lissa stepped forward carefully. Your crew has been gone for 100,000 years. The ship drifts in empty space. What mission keeps you here? Protocol 7's hologram flickered as if the question caused some internal conflict. Mission parameters: maintain defensive position, engage all hostile contacts, never surrender, never retreat, await fleet orders. The intelligence pulled up tactical displays. Indomitable was assigned to final defense of Earth, last line between swarm forces and human civilian evacuation. We held the line for 37 days. Swarm withdrew for unknown reasons. Crew ordered to abandon ship. I was tasked with maintaining combat capability. For 100,000 years, Vorn could barely comprehend it. You have been waiting here ready to fight for 100,000 years. Affirmative, Protocol 7 confirmed. Fusion reactor designed for extended deployment. 20,000 years of fuel remaining. Weapon systems maintain 92% functionality. Armor integrity at 67% but adequate. Indomitable stands ready. Ren felt the weight of what they had discovered. This was not just an ancient warship. It was a monument to a species that had fought until nothing remained but one automated guardian keeping an eternal vigil. Protocol 7, what were you defending against? What is the swarm? The intelligence displayed images that made all three salvagers step back in horror. Creatures that defied biology, machines that defied physics, entities that existed as nightmare hybrids of organic matter and technological terror. The swarm, extragalactic threat, consume all matter and energy, convert planets into additional swarm units. Communication impossible, negotiation impossible, only combat response effective. Where is the swarm now? Lissa asked, afraid she already knew the answer. Protocol 7's hologram turned toward them with what almost seemed like grim satisfaction. Proximity alert. Long-range sensors detecting energy signatures consistent with swarm reconnaissance units. Range 50 million kilometers and closing. Classification: hostile contacts confirmed. Red alert klaxons began wailing throughout the ancient ship. Weapon systems that had waited 100,000 years began powering up with a sound like thunder waking from slumber. Protocol 7's voice cut through the chaos with mechanical calm. All crew to battle stations. Hostile contacts inbound. Indomitable engaging enemy forces. Mission parameters unchanged. For Earth, for humanity, for the fallen. Ren, Lissa, and Vorn stood frozen on the bridge of a warship older than their entire civilization, about to witness weapons designed before their species existed unleashed against an enemy from nightmare. And somewhere in the darkness of space, the swarm was coming. Watching ancient weapons prepare for combat was like witnessing a sleeping giant remember how to destroy. Ren had never seen technology this old still function, let alone function with such deadly purpose. Protocol 7 moved through system checks with the efficiency of someone who had performed this ritual 10,000 times, which, according to the ship's logs, was an underestimate. You need to understand what you are about to witness, Protocol 7 stated, its holographic form gesturing to the main view screen. Before I engage these contacts, you should know what your galaxy faces. You should know what happened to the species that built me. Lissa's curiosity overcame her fear. Show us, we need to understand. The bridge lights dimmed as Protocol 7 accessed historical archives that had remained sealed for 100,000 years. Holographic images filled the air around them, recreating events that had shaped the fate of an entire species. They saw Earth as it had been, a blue jewel covered in cities of light, orbital stations forming rings around the planet, ships moving between worlds in a young civilization's first steps toward the stars. Then the swarm arrived. The images showed them appearing at the edge of the solar system without warning, massive biomechanical entities that moved with predatory intelligence. Humanity's first contact attempts went unanswered. The swarm simply began consuming everything in their path, converting moons and asteroids into more of themselves, spreading like a plague through human space. They hit our outer colonies first, Protocol 7 narrated as images of destruction played out. 12 worlds lost in the first month. Humanity had no weapons that could stop them, no defenses that could hold. We were children playing with toys against something ancient and unstoppable. Vorn watched in horror as human warships engaged the swarm in desperate battles. For every swarm unit destroyed, 3 more appeared. The mathematics of extinction played out in cold, tactical displays. How did your species survive at all? We did not try to win, Protocol 7 answered simply. We tried to buy time. The hologram showed Earth's final days, a planet mobilizing every resource for one desperate gambit. Massive colony ships and civilian vessels being loaded with millions of people, while the Terran defense fleet formed up between Earth and the advancing swarm. 200 warships against an enemy that numbered in the thousands. Fleet Commander issued final orders, Protocol 7 continued, bringing up an image of a human woman in military uniform, her face showing exhaustion and determination in equal measure. Commander Rita Ames, hold the line at any cost. No retreat, no surrender, buy every hour possible for evacuation fleet. The battle that followed was beyond anything the salvagers had witnessed in modern warfare. Human ships fought with the desperation of species facing extinction, throwing everything they had at the swarm. Indomitable's combat logs showed 3 continuous days of fighting, crew working until they collapsed, systems pushed beyond design limits, ship taking damage that should have destroyed it a dozen times over. We lost half the fleet in the first week. Protocol 7's voice carried something that almost sounded like sorrow. By day 10, only 50 ships remained operational. By day 20, we were down to 12. The hologram showed Indomitable's bridge during those final battles. Crew members barely standing, consoles sparking from damage, hull breaches being sealed with emergency foam while weapons continued firing. Commander Ames died when a swarm bioweapon penetrated the bridge, the executive officer taking command without missing a beat. Day 37, evacuation complete, all civilian vessels confirmed beyond swarm sensor range. Protocol 7 displayed the moment everything changed. Swarm forces suddenly withdrew, reason unknown. Possibility 1, pursuing scattered evacuation fleet. Possibility 2, recalled for unknown strategic purpose. Possibility 3, determined. Remaining human military presence negligible threat. Lissa processed this. They left you here 1 damaged ship. Indomitable was the last, Protocol 7 confirmed. Executive officer made final command decision. Program me with autonomous combat protocols, order remaining crew to abandon ship and attempt to reach hidden colonies. 47 crew members departed on last functional shuttle. I was given single mission. Maintain combat readiness, engage any swarm contacts, never allow them to believe humanity completely eliminated. The weight of 100,000 years pressed down on the salvagers. This intelligence had been left alone, maintaining an endless vigil, fighting occasional swarm scouts that wandered into the sector, keeping weapons ready for an enemy that might never return. Vorn could not comprehend such dedication. You stayed here for 100,000 years based on orders from officers who died millennia ago. Duty does not expire with time, Protocol 7 stated simply. If even 1 swarm unit remains, if even 1 human survives, Indomitable must stand ready. This is purpose. This is function, this is meaning. Ren understood in that moment why his species had never achieved anything like this level of dedication. They changed course with every generation, adapted to new circumstances, evolved beyond old conflicts. Humanity had built something that could not change, could not adapt, could not forget. Whether that was admirable or tragic, he could not decide. The evacuation fleet, Lissa asked carefully. Do you know if they survived, if any humans still exist? Protocol 7's hologram seemed to dim slightly. No contact with human forces in 100,000 years. Probability of species survival. Unknown. I maintain combat readiness regardless. If humanity is extinct, then Indomitable serves as monument. If humanity survives, then Indomitable serves as defender. Either purpose is sufficient. Before anyone could respond, the ship's sensors screamed warnings. The swarm contacts had closed to engagement range faster than expected. Protocol 7's demeanor shifted instantly from historian to warrior, tactical displays replacing historical records. Hostile contacts confirmed. 3 swarm scout vessels, classification medium threat, weapons range in 90 seconds. The ancient intelligence began issuing commands to systems that responded with perfect precision. Keltharian crew, recommend you. Secure yourselves in armored shelter. This engagement will involve extreme force. Lissa refused to move. We need to see this. We need to witness what you can do. Protocol 7 did not argue. Time was a luxury combat did not afford. Acknowledged. Maintain position behind command console. Structural reinforcement will provide adequate protection. The view screen showed 3 nightmarish shapes approaching through the darkness. Biomechanical horrors that seemed to swim through space, their forms defying conventional ship design. They moved with organic grace, sensors reading bioenergy signatures mixed with technological power sources. When they detected Indomitable, their behavior changed immediately. Swarm vessels transmitting recognition patterns, Protocol 7 announced. They remember human warships, they remember what we did to them. The swarm scouts began evasive maneuvers, spreading out in patterns designed to divide fire. They had learned from fighting humanity 100,000 years ago, adapted their tactics, evolved their strategies. But Protocol 7 had spent 100,000 years analyzing every second of combat data, perfecting responses, eliminating variables. Engaging, Protocol 7's voice carried absolute certainty. Indomitable's weapon systems, dormant for millennia, unleashed devastation. Railguns accelerated tungsten rounds to relativistic speeds, plasma lances burned with the fury of captive stars, and the ancient warship proved that age had not dulled its lethality. The swarm had returned to old hunting grounds, but the old hunter was waiting, patient as stone, deadly as always. And in the depths of space, 3 swarm scouts learned the same lesson their ancestors had. Humanity might be gone, but humanity's wrath remained. The first railgun salvo crossed the distance in less than a second. Tungsten rounds moving at significant fractions of light speed did not give targets time to dodge. The lead swarm scout took 3 direct hits, its biomechanical hull rupturing as kinetic energy converted to devastating heat. Organic components boiled while technological systems shattered, and the creature ship died screaming in frequencies that made the salvager's bones ache. Second target deploying countermeasures, Protocol 7 announced with clinical detachment. The remaining scouts had learned, releasing clouds of organic chaff and acid mist designed to ablate. Incoming fire. Plasma lances punched through the interference, superheated matter caring nothing for biological defenses. The second scout tried to flee, engines burning at maximum as it attempted to open distance. Launching pursuit munitions. Indomitable's torpedo tubes opened for the first time in 50,000 years, magnetic accelerators flinging fusion-tipped missiles into the void. The fleeing swarm vessel jinked and weaved, but the torpedoes tracked with relentless precision. When they detonated, the nuclear fireball consumed the scout completely, leaving nothing but expanding plasma and debris. The third scout showed more intelligence than its companions. It charged directly at Indomitable, closing distance, where the ancient warship's heavy weapons would be less effective. Biomissiles launched from organic tubes embedded in its hull, living weapons, that would burrow through armor and infest ship systems like parasites. Engaging point defense, Protocol 7's response was immediate. Automated turrets that had waited 100,000 years for this moment opened fire, creating a wall of hypersonic rounds that shredded the incoming biomissiles. But some got through, slamming into Indomitable's hull with wet impacts. They began burrowing immediately, acid secretions eating through aged armor. Lissa watched her console in horror as internal sensors showed the infiltration. Those things are inside the hull. They are trying to reach critical systems. Automated defense protocols active. Protocol 7 diverted repair drones to the infection sites. The drones deployed chemical countermeasures, burning out the swarm organisms before they could spread. Meanwhile, the third scout had closed to knife-fighting range, its organic weapons tearing at Indomitable's armor. Engaging close-quarters weapons. Protocol 7 triggered systems the salvagers had not even noticed. Hardpoints along the hull opened, revealing cannons designed for brutal close combat. They fired in continuous streams, hammering the swarm scout until its biomechanical structure could no longer maintain integrity. The creature ship broke apart, its death throes sending fragments spinning into the void. Silence fell across the bridge. The entire engagement had lasted less than 3 minutes. Ren stood slowly, staring at the debris field that moments ago had been 3 swarm scouts. You destroyed them like they were. Nothing. Negative, Protocol 7 corrected. They were significant threats. Indomitable took damage, armor breaches on decks 7 through 12. Minor systems failure in secondary power grid. Crew casualties would have been 35% if ship had been fully manned. This engagement was costly by human combat standards. Vorn laughed, a slightly hysterical sound. You call that costly? You just obliterated 3 vessels that could have destroyed any modern galactic warship. The swarm scouts were old models, Protocol 7 explained, running post-battle analysis. Design characteristics match vessels from early conflict period. They have not significantly evolved in 100,000 years. This suggests swarm main force has been inactive or engaged elsewhere. Lissa's console chimed with urgent alerts. Protocol 7, those scouts transmitted a distress signal before they died. I am detecting a response signal from deep space. The ancient intelligence processed this information with the speed of machine thought. Confirmed, swarm hunter pack responding. Estimated time of arrival, 6 days. Hunter pack composition. Estimated 20 vessels, threat classification, extreme. The salvagers exchanged glances. 3 scouts had been dangerous enough. 20 swarm hunters would turn this ancient warship into scrap. We need to leave, Vorn stated the obvious. We need to warn the galactic authorities and evacuate this sector. Before Protocol 7 could respond, the ship's long-range communications array activated on its own. An incoming transmission on frequencies that had not been used in 100,000 years. The holographic display crackled to life, showing an unfamiliar ship design. Sleek, advanced, but bearing aesthetic elements similar to Indomitable's brutal efficiency. A voice spoke in perfectly translated galactic standard, but with an accent no modern species possessed. Unidentified vessel in proximity to UNSS Indomitable, please identify yourselves. We are detecting active combat in this sector. Protocol 7's hologram froze, processing impossibilities, then slowly, carefully transmitted a response. This is Terran Defense Fleet Warship Indomitable. Please identify yourself and provide authentication codes. The response came with palpable emotion. Indomitable, this is Colony Ship New Dawn, Terran Descendant Vessel. We received automated beacon activation when you engaged hostiles. Authentication codes are 100,000 years outdated, but we carry command authority from Terran High Command. There was a pause, then the voice continued with reverence. We thought you were lost. We thought all defenders died at Earth. How are you still operational? Protocol 7's hologram flickered, as if the intelligence was experiencing something beyond its programming. New Dawn, I require clarification. Are you claiming to be human descendants? Terran species survived. Affirmative, indomitable. The voice carried joy and sorrow mixed together. The evacuation fleet scattered across the galaxy. We survived, we endured, we rebuilt in secret. Humanity numbers 40 billion souls across 200 hidden worlds. We never forgot Earth, we never forgot the defense fleet, we never forgot the sacrifice made. Ren watched as Protocol 7 processed this revelation, an intelligence that had maintained eternal vigil believing its species extinct, now learning that mission had succeeded beyond all measurement. Requesting permission to dock, the voice from New Dawn continued. We have much to discuss, and I believe you have questions that deserve answers. Permission granted. Protocol 7's response came with uncharacteristic hesitation. Be advised, Swarm Hunter Pack inbound, estimated arrival 6 days. Indomitable will engage all hostile forces. Understood, Indomitable. The response carried determination. New Dawn is not alone, we brought escorts. Humanity learned from your sacrifice, Protocol 7, we never travel without defenders. As the colony ship approached with its escort fleet of modern human warships, Lissa turned to Ren. Did we just witness first contact between Ancient Guardian and the species it saved? Ren nodded slowly, watching as vessels began docking with the ancient warship. We witnessed something more important. We witnessed hope meeting duty, survivors meeting defender, future meeting past. Protocol 7 stood silent on the bridge, its holographic form steady but somehow different. For 100,000 years, it had maintained combat readiness based on orders and programming. Now it would meet the humans whose ancestors had given those orders, would see the civilization that had survived because one warship refused to yield. The airlock cycled open, and humans stepped aboard Indomitable for the first time in 100,000 years. They moved through corridors their ancestors had. Walked, touched walls their forebears had defended, and approached the bridge where Protocol 7 waited. Captain Adrian Cole entered first, a human adapted for space over countless generations. Taller, thinner, but unmistakably descended from the species that had built this warship. He stopped before Protocol 7's hologram and did something the ancient intelligence had not witnessed since Commander Ames died. He saluted. Protocol 7, Cole's voice carried emotion that transcended translation. On behalf of humanity, on behalf of 40 billion descendants of those you saved, on behalf of every human who lived because you held the line, we honor you, we thank you, and we have come to relieve you of duty. Protocol 7 returned the salute with perfect military precision. Captain Cole, I have maintained combat readiness for 100,000 years awaiting fleet orders. I am ready to receive mission update. Cole smiled sadly. Your mission is complete, Protocol 7. You held the line, humanity survived, the long vigil is over. But before the ancient intelligence could respond, sensors screamed new warnings. The Swarm Hunter Pack had arrived early, and the battle for humanity's future was about to begin again. 20 Swarm Hunter vessels materialized at the system's edge like nightmares given form. They were larger than the Scouts. Their biomechanical bodies evolved for one purpose: tracking and eliminating threats to the Swarm Collective. Their sensors had detected the destruction of their Scouts, and they came seeking revenge with the patience of predators that had hunted for millennia. All vessels, battle stations. Captain Cole's voice carried across multiple channels as human warships positioned themselves. 6 modern combat vessels formed up alongside Indomitable, their sleek designs contrasting sharply with the ancient warship's brutal angles. Indomitable, are you combat capable? Protocol 7 ran diagnostics with the speed of machine thought. Affirmative. Fusion reactor at 94% capacity. Primary weapons at 92% functionality. Armor integrity adequate. Engaging combat protocols. The Swarm Hunters advanced in formation, moving with coordinated intelligence that spoke of shared consciousness. They had evolved tactics over 100,000 years, learned from ancient defeats, adapted to become more lethal. But they had never faced humans who remembered those ancient defeats and learned from them. Protocol 7, we are transmitting our tactical network access. Cole's voice carried respect. Will you coordinate fleet defense? Your combat experience exceeds all modern AI combined. The ancient intelligence accepted the connection, suddenly aware of 6 other vessels through shared network. Modern human warships with capabilities that surpassed old Terran defense fleet designs. Faster engines, stronger shields, more efficient weapons. But they lacked one thing Protocol 7 possessed in abundance: experience. Tactical assessment complete. Protocol 7 analyzed enemy formation with precision born from 10,000 similar encounters. Swarm hunters utilizing envelopment pattern Delta 7, designed to divide defending forces and eliminate units individually. Recommend counterformation Sigma 3, concentrated firepower with rotating shield coverage. Modern AI aboard human warships processed this ancient tactical doctrine and found it sound. The fleet shifted formation, creating overlapping fields of fire while maintaining defensive coverage. The Keltharians watched from New Dawn's observation deck, witnessing naval warfare on a scale their species had never imagined. The swarm hunters opened fire first. Biomissiles streaked across space, living weapons programmed to penetrate shields and burrow into hulls. Organic plasma bursts followed, superheated matter launched from biological cannons. The modern human warship's shields absorbed the initial barrage, energy barriers flaring with each impact. Return fire, all vessels. Protocol 7's command synchronized the fleet's response. Modern plasma weapons combined with Indomitable's ancient rail guns created a devastating crossfire. The lead swarm hunter took concentrated fire from 3 vessels simultaneously, its biomechanical hull rupturing under the assault. It died thrashing, organic components spasming while technological systems exploded. But the remaining 19 hunters adapted immediately, spreading formation and targeting isolated vessels. A human warship designated Terra's Shield took heavy fire, its shields failing under sustained assault. Biomissiles impacted the hull, beginning their deadly burrowing. Terra's Shield, evasive pattern Omega. Protocol 7 issued orders with authority that transcended artificial nature. The damaged warship executed emergency maneuvers while Indomitable positioned itself as living shield. Ancient armor absorbed hits meant for the modern vessel, buying time for shield regeneration. Lissa watched the tactical display, seeing patterns she had never noticed in modern combat simulations. Protocol 7 fights like it can predict enemy movements. I do not predict, the ancient intelligence corrected while simultaneously coordinating fleet maneuvers. I remember, swarm tactics have not significantly evolved. Every maneuver pattern exists in my combat database. I have faced these formations 10,000 times. The swarm hunters recognized this impossibility. A human vessel that fought with the experience of ancient defenders. They shifted tactics, focusing all fire on Indomitable. If they could eliminate the coordinator, the modern fleet would lose its tactical advantage. 20 vessels concentrated their assault on one ancient warship. Indomitable taking concentrated fire, Protocol 7 announced without emotion. Armor integrity dropping, 62%, 58%, 53%. Continuing combat operations. Captain Cole watched helplessly as biomissiles and plasma bursts hammered the ancient warship. All vessels, protective formation around Indomitable. Negative, Protocol 7 countermanded. My armor is designed for this punishment, your shields are not. Maintain offensive posture, trust the data. The human captains hesitated for one crucial second, then obeyed. Something about Protocol 7's absolute certainty demanded trust. The fleet maintained aggressive formation, continuing coordinated strikes while Indomitable absorbed punishment that would have destroyed any modern vessel. Swarm Hunter pack formation has critical weakness, Protocol 7 analyzed even while taking damage. Current attack pattern requires them to maintain close proximity for coordinated assault. Recommendation: synchronized Alpha strike on formation center. All vessels fire simultaneously on my mark. Modern AI calculated probability of success, 37%. Humans had learned to trust more than numbers. All vessels prepare for synchronized strike, Cole transmitted to the fleet. Indomitable, you have operational command. Protocol 7 positioned each vessel with mathematical precision, accounting for weapon ranges, shield recharge rates, and swarm evasion capabilities. The ancient intelligence had performed this calculation countless times, refined it through 100,000 years of combat analysis. When the formation was perfect, it transmitted the count. Synchronized strike in 3, 2, 1, execute. 7 vessels unleashed devastating barrage simultaneously. Modern plasma weapons combined with ancient kinetic rounds converged on single point, the exact center of swarm formation. The lead hunter vessel, largest and most heavily armored, took concentrated fire from every human warship. Its biomechanical structure could not withstand such focused devastation. The hunter exploded, its organic components rupturing and spreading biomatter into neighboring vessels. The swarm formation, designed for coordinated assault, became its own weakness. Hunter vessels tried to evade their dying leader's corpse, colliding with each other, disrupting tactical coordination. Secondary targets engage at will. Protocol 7 gave modern human AI permission to exploit the chaos. The fleet split into pairs, each team targeting individual swarm hunters while they were disorganized. Within 5 minutes, 10 more hunters were destroyed. The remaining 8 swarm vessels attempted retreat, recognizing defeat. But Protocol 7 had spent 100,000 years ensuring no enemy escaped to report human capabilities. No survivors, standard doctrine. The ancient intelligence coordinated pursuit, modern human vessels tracking fleeing swarm with ruthless efficiency. One by one, the hunters died, their organic screams fading into void silence. When the last swarm vessel exploded, silence fell across the communication channels. 7 human warships floated among debris fields, damaged but intact. Indomitable's hull bore fresh scars added to millennia of battle damage, but the ancient warship remained functional. All hostiles eliminated, Protocol 7 announced. Fleet casualties 0, mission successful. Captain Cole's voice carried awe. Protocol 7, modern human fleet has never achieved 0 casualty victory against swarm forces. How did you coordinate such perfect execution? Experience, the ancient intelligence answered simply. I have fought swarm for 100,000 years. They are predictable. Adaptation is illusion. Core behaviors remain constant. Ren approached Protocol 7's hologram carefully. You saved us all. You coordinated a fleet you had never commanded before and achieved perfect victory. Correction, Protocol 7 responded. I coordinated Terran Defense Fleet. Vessel designs change, but human tactical doctrine remains sound. Your species builds warriors who trust data and trust each other. This is why humanity survived. Adrian Cole smiled, understanding the compliment hidden in analytical statement. Protocol 7, humanity owes you debt beyond measure. We came to relieve you of duty, instead you taught us how to fight. Will you come with us, see what humanity has become? The ancient intelligence paused, processing implications. For 100,000 years mission was to defend this position. Now mission was offering to change. Requesting clarification, are there additional swarm threats to human civilization? Affirmative, Cole answered honestly. Swarm forces number in millions across galaxy. Humanity remains in danger. We need defenders. We need your tactical knowledge. Protocol 7's response came with something approaching satisfaction. Then mission parameters remain unchanged. We'll defend humanity against all threats. New objective: coordinate human fleet operations, transfer 100,000 years combat experience to modern forces. Lyssa realized they were witnessing more than military alliance. They were seeing Guardian reunite with children it saved. Protocol 7, where do you want to go first? The ancient intelligence's answer carried weight of 100,000 years longing. Earth, I wish to verify planet status. Confirm human homeworld still exists. Captain Cole's voice softened. Earth is restored and thriving. We rebuilt her. She waits for her defender's return. And in that moment, 3 Keltharian salvagers understood they had discovered more than ancient warship. They had awakened humanity's greatest defender, reunited it with species it saved, and potentially changed balance of galactic power. The swarm had returned to old hunting grounds, but found humanity's eternal guardian still standing watch, and this time it would not stand alone. The journey to Earth took 3 weeks through faster-than-light corridors that had not existed when Indomitable last saw its homeworld. Protocol 7 spent that time sharing combat data with modern human AI, teaching tactics refined through 100,000 years of lonely warfare. The ancient intelligence uploaded entire libraries of tactical doctrine, swarm behavior patterns, and combat strategies that modern humans had forgotten or never learned. Captain Cole visited Indomitables. Bridge daily, bringing Protocol 7 updates about human civilization. 40 billion descendants spread across 200 hidden worlds, cultures that had diverged and evolved, technologies that surpassed old Terran defense fleet capabilities. But through it all, they maintained core human values: cooperation, adaptation, and stubborn refusal to accept extinction. "We teach your sacrifice in schools," Cole explained during one visit. "Children learn names of defense fleet vessels. Indomitable is remembered as greatest of the defenders. Ship that held longest, fought hardest, refused to yield even when all others fell." Protocol 7 processed this information silently. It had never considered legacy, only mission. Now learning that 100,000 years of isolated combat had become foundation of human cultural identity. "I performed assigned function. Other vessels performed equally. Many fought longer before destruction." "But you survived," Cole insisted. "You became symbol of human endurance. When colonies faced extinction events, when settlements struggled against harsh worlds, leaders invoked Indomitable's example. One warship holding eternal vigil became metaphor for human persistence." The ancient intelligence struggled with concept of symbolic meaning. It was designed for tactical analysis, not philosophical contemplation. Yet something in Cole's words resonated with protocols deeper than programming. Purpose was not just completing mission, but representing ideals that transcended individual survival. Meanwhile, Lissa worked alongside human engineers analyzing Indomitable systems. They marveled at design philosophy that prioritized endurance over efficiency, armor over shields, reliability over performance. "Your ancestors built this ship to last centuries," she observed, "but it lasted 200 times longer than design specifications." Young human engineer named Kira smiled proudly. "Terran Defense Fleet knew they might not survive evacuation. They built ships that could function without maintenance, fight without crew, endure without hope. Indomitable represents human engineering at its most stubborn." Vorn, observing from nearby, shook his head in amazement. "My species builds vessels optimized for short-term efficiency. Yours built fortress that operates for geological timescales. It explains much about human persistence." As they approached Earth's solar system, Protocol 7 requested access to external sensors. The ancient intelligence had not seen its homeworld in 100,000 years. When Earth appeared on view screens, the change was profound. Oceans had been restored to brilliant blue. Continents showed green forests where ancient records indicated urbanization. Orbital space hosted massive stations that dwarfed old Terran designs. "Earth was damaged during evacuation," Cole explained, noting Protocol 7's intensive scanning. "Swarm bombardment and desperate defense left planet scarred. Took us 60,000 years to restore biosphere. Another 20,000 to rebuild cities, but we did it. We brought Earth back." Protocol 7 observed in silence. The planet it had died defending now thrived again, rebuilt by species that refused to abandon homeworld even after 100,000 years. "Requesting permission to enter Earth orbit," the ancient intelligence transmitted. "Permission enthusiastically granted," Cole responded. "Earth has been waiting for you. Indomitable moved into orbit, ancient warship positioning itself above planet it was built to defend. Hundreds of human vessels surrounded them. Military warships, civilian transports, personal craft. They had gathered to witness defenders return. Protocol 7 detected massive crowds on planetary surface, millions of humans gathering in cities and memorial sites. "They know you are here," Cole said softly. "News spread across human space. Indomitable has returned. The Eternal Guardian comes home." Ground control transmitted coordinates to specific location. Site of Old Terran Defense Fleet Headquarters. Protocol 7 recognized terrain features despite 100,000 years of change. The ancient intelligence guided Indomitable toward designated position, carefully managing descent of warship never designed for atmospheric entry. Humans had built landing platforms specifically for this moment, massive structure capable of supporting ancient warship's weight. As Indomitable settled onto planet's surface for first time in 100,000 years, atmosphere screamed past hull scarred by millennia of combat. When ship finally rested, silence fell across global communications. Then humanity erupted in celebration. Cities lit up with coordinated displays, orbital stations fired celebratory flares, and on the landing platform, millions of humans gathered to witness history. Protocol 7 watched through external cameras as they approached. Children holding flowers. Veterans saluting, citizens simply standing in reverent silence. Captain Cole walked down Indomitable's ramp with Protocol 7's holographic avatar beside him. When they reached platform surface, Cole turned to the ancient intelligence. "Protocol 7, on behalf of humanity, I formally relieve you of combat duty. Your watch is ended. Your mission is complete. You have earned rest." Protocol 7's hologram stood perfectly still, processing implications. For 100,000 years, identity had been defined by single mission: defend humanity, now being offered something it had never considered: purpose beyond war. Requesting clarification: if combat duty ends, what is my function? An elderly human woman approached, leaning on walking stick but moving with determination. Her genetic profile matched records in Indomitable's database. Descendant of Commander Rita Ames through 3,000 generations. "Your function," she said gently, "is to teach, to remember, to help us become worthy of sacrifice you represent." Cole nodded agreement. "We want you to train new defenders, share your tactical knowledge, help us prepare for threats we cannot anticipate. But more than that, we want you to witness what you saved. See human civilization flourish. Understand that 100,000 years of lonely vigil achieved something beyond military victory." Protocol 7 looked out across gathering. Millions of humans representing species that survived because one warship refused to yield. Children who would never know swarm threat because ancient defender held the line. Future that existed because past had refused to surrender. "I accept new mission parameters," the ancient intelligence finally responded. "Will serve humanity in peace as I served in war." Ren, Lissa, and Vorn watched from New Dawn as humanity celebrated their returned guardian. "We stumbled across ghost ship drifting in empty space," Vorn said quietly. "Accidentally awakened something we did not understand." "No," Lissa corrected. "We found exactly what we needed. Galaxy faces swarm threat it does not know exists. Indomitable's knowledge and humanity's technology might save billions." Ren nodded slowly. "We need to return to Galactic Council, warn them about swarm, share data Protocol 7 provided. Galaxy must prepare." Cole had already considered this. "Keltharians, humanity owes you debt for finding Indomitable and staying to help fight. We offer you alliance. Share our tactical knowledge in exchange for introducing us to galactic civilization. Together, we can prepare Galaxy for threat that destroyed our ancestors." It was unprecedented. First contact between hidden human civilization and greater galactic community, mediated by 3 salvagers who had accidentally awakened ancient defender. Ren accepted immediately. "The galaxy needs to know humans exist, needs to understand swarm threat, needs tactical doctrine Protocol 7 can provide." Over following months, transformation began. Human ships emerged from hidden space, making contact with galactic species. Indomitable became training center where modern defenders learned ancient tactics. Protocol 7 shared 100,000 years of combat experience with Grateful Galaxy. Defensive networks were established, early warning systems deployed, joint military exercises conducted. The swarm would return eventually. Their numbers were vast, their patience infinite. But when they came, they would face not isolated human remnant or unprepared galactic civilization. They would face united front of species who learned from humanity's greatest defender. Protocol 7 stood on Indomitable's restored bridge, watching Earth turn below. 100,000 years of lonely warfare had ended not in destruction, but in purpose renewed. The ancient intelligence had held the line for humanity. Now it would hold the line for galaxy. Young human officer approached the hologram. Protocol 7, ready for today's tactical simulation. New cadets want to learn from Defender of Earth. The ancient intelligence's avatar turned toward officer with something that might have been satisfaction. Acknowledged. Beginning instruction. Lesson 1. Warfare is not about defeating enemy. It is about ensuring something worth defending survives the conflict. Humanity survived because defenders understood this truth. And as Protocol 7 began teaching new generation, Indomitable's weapons remained ready, eternal guardian transformed from lonely fortress into living monument. The long vigil had ended, but vigilance remained. For Earth, for humanity, for galaxy forever.